team that I would want to take into battle necessarily against a big, fierce pack. But what happened is a bit of the ferocity of St Helens was taken away by them being a man down.
Yeah.
And just before that, if you remember, there was a break right up the middle from St Helens. I think it was Swift, and it was one of the few times they'd actually started to make some inroads, make some meters, and I just thought that was going to start coming.
Yeah.
And then Saints lost a man.
Yeah.
And that made space out wide, so then it didn't matter how much they could have ran through the middle, because they had so many ball players now getting it out to the fringes, where you had good runners like Murdoch Masilla and...
Devastating runner of the ball.
Yeah, and you, that's when the game then went fully away, and Salford really solidified it. That's my take on it. And Salford were just outstanding in the second half. Didn't give Saints a sniff after that.
I don't want to take anything away from Salford. Salford played tremendously well. And if they can muster this kind of performance for the rest of the season, that must give their fans some real cause for hope and anticipation, because they played tremendously well. I'm not going to say that this is just Saints having a bad day. Salford had a really good game. Yeah. Salford played well, and credit to them, they deserve that victory. And I think the way they performed, they would have beaten 9 out of 10 sides on that day. They were very, very good.
And Salford at home look a real threat this year, I would say. That's where their strength will lie. Yeah,
Murdoch Masilla looks like a devastating runner. The thing I liked sort of about Murdoch Masilla is he's got a bit of mongrel about him as well. You'd see kind of, after, he was just kind of giving a bit back after tackles and stuff. I don't necessarily promote the shoving and stuff like that, but he was showing that he was prepared to be aggressive and
but not over the line.
Yeah, and he was a big unit as well, so that adds, that kind of controlled aggression that Salford haven't necessarily had. They haven't had the controlled part for a number of seasons. So I liked the look of him.
What are we having to his no try?
Is that was the one where he reached forward, wasn't it? And kind of, I don't think, it wasn't a try for me.
No, he dropped it. I thought he dropped it.
I agree.
There was no control or downward pressure by the time he got to the line. I thought it was the right decision.
It would have been a fucking brilliant try, because he ran through about 4 people and his arms come out. And I was willing it to be a try because it would have been phenomenal, but no, it just wasn't quite to be.
That was the thing about this game as well, though. A lot of the tries, apart from the Louis off the base of the scrum, where he picked out the right man, to be fair.
Yeah, he ran well, didn't he?
Apart from that, there was no easy tries. I think Salford created some good positions for themselves with either really quick play of the balls or really clever bits of play.
Yeah,
and that's how
Saints
how they got around it.
Saints were playing a number of players out of position as well. I would lay more blame for St Helens' performance at the doors of the head coach, by the way, as well. Didn't you have something to say about Kieran? Didn't your missus notice?
So one of the, how Sky has like a predilection for cutting to coaches' faces for no apparent reason for 7,000 times a game.
Yeah.
Well, one of the times Emma was walking through the front room and she goes, "Who's that chubster?" and I was sort of looking at Twitter, because that's what I tend to do when they show coaches' reactions, because I don't give a shit about them that much. But I was like, so I looked up and I saw his bald head just disappearing off the screen. And I was like, oh, it's well, he had a woolly hat on.
Stupid woolly hat on, yeah.
But I saw him disappear off the screen. And I was like, oh, that's KFC.
That's Kieran fucking Cunningham. Fair enough. But I would lay some of the blame for St Helens' performance.
His lad played in the reserves on Saturday when they beat Wigan in the reserves. Really? But anyway.
As I was saying, I'd lay some of the blame for Saints' performance at his selection as well. Morgan Knowles, I don't know how much of a hooker he is, but to all intents and purposes, he looks like a second rower.
He had a good game though, the kid. But
I'm not saying anything about his performance.
Should have come on sooner.
Farr should have been in from the start at hooker for me. He should have been in from the start. He's a halfback who could do a job there, not a second rower who might be able to. Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook in the centre has no fucking right to be there. There was 2 big glaring holes in St Helens' selection that caused me to question what the fuck Kieran Cunningham was thinking about, and it leads to this position where Salford, if they play well, blow you out of the water, which is exactly what happened, and credit to them. So go on, tell us the tale of the tape, Mark. What happened?
Salford dominated the stats, which were a 44-10 scoreline, is hardly surprising. They had 8 tries to 2 that came off 500 more metres than St Helens, which is the biggest aggregate gain we're going to see this year so far. Better average game, better tackle success, fewer penalties conceded, and 5 fewer errors than the hapless Saints. Individually, Niall Evans came off the bench and scored 2 tries. Justin Carney had 2 try assists, 7 tackle busts, 222 running metres, and off 2 clean breaks. I mean, that was a powerful performance from him. George Griffin with 159 metres. he's got in there, because that surprised me, because I don't remember him doing like that much, but him running up against Amor, Walmsley, Tassie, and making all those meters when he used to be a back rower and now is made into a front rower really more so this year than before. And that's a great effort from George Griffin, so well done to him. And then finally, convicted domestic abuser Robert Louis, 2 tries, 1 try assist, 5 tackles, 108 metres, had a really good performance on the pitch.
Yes, he did. Anybody stand out for St Helens?
Well, Adam Swift, the cartoon dog of the Super League pod, he got a try and 135 running metres off 3 clean breaks. He was basically their main threat, and Alex Walmsley, who they called for off the bench really early on, like we said, he grabbed himself a try and 110 metres as well. That was pretty much it from a positive standpoint for the St Helens side.
Okay, so as you might expect, we got
Luke Walsh though was fucking disgusting in terms of his output for the dream team.
Can't find a halfback with a decent attitude in St Helens, can you? Okay, Aidan Storkett got in touch with us. He said, as a Saints fan, I've decided to make a donation to Tom's fundraising effort instead of commenting on any Super League action this week. Thank you, Aidan. I'll talk more about that towards the end of the show. Paul O'Brien got in touch, said, great performance from Salford. Saints looked flat and never seemed to get out of the blocks. Poor performance by Saints, but you can't take anything away from Salford. They wanted it more. Not looking forward to our visit there next week. Paul is a Widnes fan, of course. Alan Witt got in touch. He said, I don't even think the biggest Salford fan would have predicted that result. Saints thought it was going to be a walkover, like many of us did. Salford looked like a team and not a group of individuals as in previous years. Carney, convicted spousal abuser Robert Louis, and Murdoch Masilla are beasts. Hopefully it's not just a one-off, as it was a great performance for the neutral. Andy Barker got in touch and said, what a quality professional performance by Salford, with Dobson running the show. How much of this was down to Saints having an eye on next week, we don't know, but I can't imagine them playing this bad again this season. Bob Phillips got in touch and he almost said, fuck a tramp, the NHS is crucified and Saints get hammered, both by Salford folk. Dalton from Salford just aiding Jay Hunt. I don't really know what that means.
Jeremy Hunt.
Oh, Jeremy Hunt.
But he started out the replacement.
Oh, I see. It's a cunning play on the word Hunt.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Letter.
Let's not get too involved in politics. But,
absolutely, fair enough.
I'm
okay,
with Bob I think.
Yeah, I think I am as well, Bob. Okay, Brad Davies got in touch. Game came down to 2 players, Dobson and Roby. Dobson controlled everything for Salford, and he was superb in linking the forwards to the backs. Saints are a totally different side without Roby constantly on the back foot. It was great to see a team heavily beaten last week, heavily beat a team like Saints this week. Just what the competition wants. Colin Render got in touch, who's a Leeds fan, said, bloody hell, never saw that coming. Saints were awful, but I prefer to focus on the positives to an amazing performance from Salford. Got off to a great start and just kept that going all game. Brackets, are Saints a one-man team? They're definitely not the same without Roby. Cutthroat
I did some research a few years ago.
Right.
That suggested, I looked at like who everyone thinks are the key players for each side,
yeah.
And it was when Sam Tompkins was still at Wigan. There's a blog out there on Mark Hill Sports, if you want to read it. But it basically said that Roby was the most significant one individual in terms of his team's results when he's not. And I looked at, I think it was Roby and Wellens from Saints at the time were the ones I looked at. Morley and Breers were at Warrington, and actually Warrington had a better win success without the 2 of those players playing.
Really?
And it was Tompkins and O'Loughlin at Wigan, and and I think I did Sinfield and
Maguire?
Probably.
Or Peacock?
I can't remember. Something like that.
Fair enough. Okay, Cutthroat Jake got in touch. He said, what a result. Salford played well. Saints looked like they expected to walk it. Hope Widnes weren't watching this. Darren Garner got in touch and said Saints were shite, Salford were not. The end. Darren LBW, who's a Saints fan, got in touch and said, I only watched the first half. I could see where Saints were going within the first 15, but what I saw was a good Salford team. Cunningham is a rubbish coach and Saints have a rubbish attitude. That's all I can really say. Dom Release.
Yeah, new name
new one on me. Fantastic.
Well, thanks for getting in touch.
I held your reservations about Salford's forwards this season, but Murdoch Masilla has made me feel a lot better about the situation. Was probably guilty of a late tackle on Walsh, but definitely gave the team some oomph. Totally shocked by the result.
I would add to that though. The other players in the pack have added to that as well. Griffin, we mentioned, there was good performance from Adam Wallen as well.
Kotchak played well.
Yeah,
which is tough for me to say. But there you go. Jason McNeil, who's Jace158, if you want to follow him on Twitter. 157, Jesus Christ, read. Says, shoot me now. Robert Louis, man of the match. I'm off to bed to weep into my pillow. John Dyson, who's a Featherstone fan, got in touch, said, not seen Salford play that well in years, probably the 70s, showing my age now. On the other hand, the St Helens defence was non-existent. I fear for them next week if they don't pick themselves up. Langer's got in touch. He's better known as Los Barba Esta Aquí. Is this a sign?
Any idea on what that translates as?
The barber is here.
Okay.
I think. Esta Aquí means he's here. Is this a sign of things to come, or have Salford caught Saints on a bad day? Discuss. I think we have, really. I think probably
a bit of both. I think
more Salford played well.
I think Salford's home form will be a lot stronger this year, and a lot of teams might come up against something playing against them there. I think their attitude's better, and Saints, they were woeful. So I can't say this is necessarily how Saints will be the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I don't see that being the case, but they were awful on Thursday.
Yeah. Matt Altringham got in touch with us from down under. He said, I can't describe how salty I am. This is something that loses. This is two countries separated by a common language, that. Can't describe how salty I am, be it the way we played or the fact that hashtag Louis Karma was made null and void. Simple errors were made by us, were capitalised on by the opposition. I just hope that this is some form of ploy against the World Club Series by Kieran Cunningham. What capped off a bad night was the cunt himself getting man of the match. He ended up at the right team. Devils. P.S. Fuck Salford and anyone who supports Robert Louis.
I pointed out that it might be your fault, this Louis Karma situation, because you maybe with your endeavours, your charity endeavours, have brought a positive resolution to the whole scenario,
restoring some order to the force
over that, and I think that's maybe
that's what it is.
There's a force for good come out of the whole problem.
Yeah, let's not have anger. Let's have positivity. Okay, Owen and Helen
enjoyed this one.
Hughes both got in touch with us. Owen said, still can't believe it, flipping amazing. If we perform like this every home game, we may yet make the 8. Everyone was great, and Gaz O'Brien went a long way to answering his critics from last week. Carney was much improved too. Some great plays, looked desperate to score. And Helen said, that wasn't expected. Is it bedtime yet? Oh, bless. Fair play. Paul Ludo Lewis got in touch. He said, any Widnes fan could have told Cunningham that Jack Owens is not a Super League fullback. Paul O'Brien, who's also a Widnes fan, got in touch and said, great performance by Salford. Could have been 50, but for the missed kicks. Not looking forward to playing them next week. Ryan5977. Can't lie more. We weren't right attitudinally. Dead giveaway that. Definitely a listener. Yeah, he absolutely listens to the Super League pod. Tim G Radio got in touch. Hello, Tim. Much as it pains me, there's a lot of quality play from Salford tonight. If we've learned anything from tonight, it's that Steve-O isn't the only problem in the skybox. Tyler Cass fan said, what a shocker from Saints. Can only think that they took the game lightly and were rightly turned over. Salford showed a lot of togetherness for a mainly new team and kept a high level of intensity for the full 80 minutes. And Wakey White got in touch with us. I said, great game for the neutrals. Salford must have won 95% of the collisions and the Saints couldn't live with them. Gives hopes to the rest of us unfancied sides. So, as much as Thursday night's result was a surprise to everybody, it was perhaps less of a surprise the result over at the John Smith Stadium, Mark, given that Wigan Warriors rolled into town to face a Huddersfield side disseminated by injuries. Not to say that Wigan didn't have a couple of their own, but frankly, Huddersfield were ripped apart by theirs and really on their knees. And what we got was a 13 points to 8 victory in favour of Wigan.
18-13.
13 points to 18 victory in favour of Wigan, So I would have said far from convincing given the opposition they had to face, which included Jamie Foster on trial at the Huddersfield Giants, Mark.
Well, let's
talk about the game.
Let's not say that Wigan didn't have their own injury issues.
I didn't. I said that they do have injury problems.
Yeah, well, they do, but they also had a halfback pull out on the day of the game, and
but now come on, and replaced him with a more than adequate other good young halfback, who a lot of your Wigan fans that let's go back a year were saying was better than George Williams anyway.
No, everyone hates Sam Powell. Gone any for him.
Really?
They'd toss him to the wolves. I like him.
But
I'm not every Wigan fan. Well, Huddersfield, got to give credit to the sort of young battle inside. Showed a lot of toughness and resilience. Jamie Ellis was a really good leader for this side. Mm-hmm. I thought Aaron Murphy had a decent game as well at the back.
I thought Aaron Murphy was very strong at full back,
Yeah, definitely. I can't say that there was a bad performance in the Huddersfield side, but I don't think that anyone really showed enough to make you say, well, the team deserved to win because of that performance. Although Jamie Ellis got all the plaudits and was man of the match and all